This is a video to show you how to update your SmartSpin2k firmware to the latest version. And normally you should be able to do this pretty easily with the app or with the web interface. This video is a comprehensive one if for some reason your firmware isn't being accepted by the SmartSpin2k. A lot of times that'll happen if an invalid file is uploaded. Newer firmwares should prevent that, but older firmwares, you could upload files that were too large for the file system, and the SmartSpin2k didn't know what to do with those. So it would cause a problem. It would fill up the memory essentially, and then it wasn't able to do anything else with it. So first what we're going to do is basically reset the SmartSpin2k to its factory defaults, or whatever you want to call it. What we'll do is this procedure erases all of the memory in the file system, so it erases all of the web server files, all your configuration files, as well as resetting all of the settings back to their factory standard. There are a couple of ways that you can do this. If you can get into the app, you can hit reset to defaults, or if you can get to the web configuration on the settings page, there's a spot where you can click reset to defaults as well. But if you don't have access to either one of those for whatever reason, what you can do is if you hold down both shifter buttons and then take your cable here and find your power cable, and just while you're holding down those buttons, we'll disconnect the power cable, wait a couple of seconds, and then plug the power cable back in. And all the while we're holding down those shifter buttons. This happens while you're rebooting the SmartSpin2k. If we hold the shifter buttons down for 10 seconds while the SmartSpin2k is rebooting, that will reset the unit to defaults. And you'll know that you're holding down both shifter buttons because on the front of the window here, it will have both the green and the yellow lights lit up. So once you have the SmartSpin2k reset to defaults, you'll know that it's reset to defaults because if you go into your phone, go into the Wi-Fi settings, and look, on one of the scans here, we'll have SmartSpin2k will show up. So we just need to wait for that to show up. All right, so there it is. So now if we click on it, if you get this incorrect password, you can just type password. And there we go. So we know that it was reset to defaults because it says you get this blue screen. Web server files need to be updated. And this is where you would put in, your Wi-Fi SSID and your password. And then if you do that and hit submit, it will log into your Wi-Fi and then download the new web server files. And it'll also check for firmware updates. But the deal is that if you have an older firmware, the security keys haven't been updated, and so it won't actually be able to download the new firmware. So where you would go here is to update firmware. And we'll get into this here in a second because we're not quite ready for this yet. So for now, we're just going to hit cancel, use other network. Because before we get to that point, we actually have to download the new firmware. So we're going to connect to our regular Wi-Fi network. And then we'll go into Chrome. And again, you'll notice that smartspin2k.local won't load because the SmartSpin2k is on its own network that we're not connected to right now. Currently, we're connected to our home internet. So in order to get the new firmware, what you need to do is you should just be able to type GitHub and SmartSpin2k. Hit go. And I'm doing this on an iPhone, by the way, which should be one of the more difficult devices to do this on. This procedure seems to work pretty well if you have an iPhone. So now that we're on the GitHub, if you just go to find where releases are here. So if you're on the mobile page, you'll see this in a little different spot, but for whatever reason, this didn't pull up the mobile page. So we'll go to releases, and then we find under assets, you'll have SmartSpin2k firmware dash, in this case, 24.8.20, but that'll be always the newest here when you pull up the releases. If you click on that and then select download, and then now that download's complete, we can just say open in downloads. All right, and there's our SmartSpin2k firmware. So if we click on that, it just unzipped it for us. So that's really nice. So then inside of this folder now we have all of the files are extracted. The one that we're going to want is firmware.bin. So now we'll go back to our settings again. And go back to our SmartSpin2k network. If you get this incorrect password, just type in password. That's the default password. So that'll join. And now we're back to our blue screen. You see right below everything else, there's another link that says update firmware. If we click on that, we get a login screen here. And this is just all lowercase, so make sure you uncheck the caps lock. Admin, and the password is the same, admin. All lowercase. So log in, and then now we have the OTA update screen. So we select choose file here, and you have a few different options. We want a file, so choose file. And then now if we go back to our downloads, nope, Chrome, I guess. Here was that folder that we just had open. So we'll go into there. And make sure that you don't select anything in here other than firmware.bin. That's the only one that you want. So we see firmware.bin, and now let's hit update. And this goes very, very quickly. There. As soon as it says success, you can leave this page. You're done. So once we're here then, we've got the green bar. Just hit cancel. And then you can say use other network if you want. So now let's go back to our home screen. And the SmartSpin2k should be all rebooted here. So that only takes a few seconds after it uploads the firmware. So now we can go into our SmartSpin2k app. And this was actually open previously. So what we'll do here is we're going to force close that. Scan again, connect. And now when we go into settings, you'll see right there at the top of the screen, we're updated to 24.8.20. So then, you know, if you want right now, until you connect it to the internet, you won't have the web server files. But now is where you can go in and put in your Wi-Fi SSID and your Wi-Fi password. and then change any of the settings back to what you prefer for your SmartSpin2k. And that should be it. Have a great day.